Are ready to
All right, I think we're live.
Oh, hello everyone.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Happy holidays. Thanks for watching.
So welcome and thanks for joining us at our end of year fireside chat. And apologies if you tried to join us yesterday, we had some technical difficulties. I hope you have a nice cup of tea or hot cocoa. We wanted to gather around the fire, so to speak, with our supporters and partners so we can let you meet the full MiCAN team, so we can reflect on some of the year's wins and progress, and also so we can share our gratitude for your support throughout the year. We know that none of what we've accomplished would have been possible without our network of supporters and our network. So I want to introduce you to everyone on the MiCAN team. So we're going to go around and introduce ourselves and share our icebreaker question, which we invite you to share in the in a Facebook comment below the live stream. We're going to say why we do this work and what one of our favorite holiday traditions is. So I will kick us off. My name is Kate Madigan. I'm the executive director of the Michigan Climate Action Network. And the reason that I do this work is so that I can tell my children and my grandchildren someday that I did everything that I could for a livable future and a better world. And one of my favorite holiday traditions is making plum pudding and then lighting it on fire and singing before serving it. So now I'm going to pass it over to Jamie Simmons, our engagement director. So why do you do this work, Jamie? And what is a favorite holiday tradition of yours?
Great. Thank you so much, Kate. And you're the first person in a while that I've heard bring up plum pudding.
I love it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Simmons. I'm the engagement director for MiCAN. I do this work because as a person of color, our voices aren't often heard and perspectives aren't often at the table within climate and environmental justice. So I kind of take it upon myself to make sure that we're centering equity and justice and also doing everything we can to make sure that our communities and our children and their children will have a fruitful and thriving future. And also for ourselves to have a successful, thriving future. It's a lot of stuff going on, and the healthier and the better that we're all living and prospering, the better for our society. A holiday tradition that I like is that my family usually does a Christmas barbecue. We usually are burned out of the traditional holiday food after Thanksgiving. So we pull out the old barbecue and barbecue in the snow, usually in the backyard or on the porch. So that's something I've always enjoyed. And I will pass it to you, Emmy.
That sounds really awesome. I'm also burnt out of holiday food, so I hear that. Hi, everyone. I'm Emmy Schneider Green. I am our digital manager here at MiCAN. And I think I do this work because I was just raised from a pretty young age. I think I was lucky in the sense that I always saw this as super important and always felt like if we don't have a healthy planet, what else possibly matters? So I think it was fairly natural for me to do this type of work. And a holiday tradition, so I celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas, so I get sort of a full month. So making latkes with my family is always a must. On the Christmas side of things, I love a good cheesy Hallmark movie, I can't lie. So that's definitely a staple for me this time of year. And I will pass it to Nirali.
Hi, I'm Nirali. I'm the digital intern here at MiCAN. And the reason I do this work is to create accountability and also to create a healthy future for all generations, including mine. And a fun holiday tradition is that I like to go to a local concert on New Year's with my friends. And I'll pass it over to Grace.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Grace. I am a senior at Grand Valley and an intern for MiCAN. I do this work because I've been passionate about the environment since probably high school when I took my first environmental science class. I want to advocate for the environment, which is something that can't advocate for itself as much. And I'm kind of in the generation where it's crunch time, getting to crunch time to save the environment. So I definitely want to be a leader in that cause in the fight against climate change. My favorite holiday tradition is definitely eating my mom's cooking. She is a wonderful cook, and in college I miss home cooked meals and just food full of love. So definitely my favorite.
Nice. Thank you, Grace. Thanks, everyone. And I want to introduce Tom Porter, who's a co-founder of MiCAN and who's been a huge supporter of our work over the years.
Thanks, Kate. And thanks for including me in this great holiday festivity. So I do this work because I fear what will happen to the climate. And as an older person whose generation had a lot to do with exacerbating the problem, I think it's wrong for us to just lay the burden of fixing it on your generation. So I think it's really important that my generation step up and do everything they can while they can to make the climate a better, to make the planet a better place, and to avoid the incredible human suffering that's occurring now and will only get worse if we can't slow things down. So that's why I do it. And my favorite thing at Christmas is Christmas carols. I just love the music. I could listen to the music all day long. I get a little tired of it within a couple of days, but while it's at its peak, I really love it.
Well, you all are really getting me into the holiday spirit. I love this. So this has been a challenging year for many of us, year 2 of the COVID pandemic. It's also been a year where we have made some good progress on climate. So we want to share some of the highlights from our progress this year. I'll start us off. One of the things that we've been doing is fighting Enbridge's efforts to build the Line 5 oil tunnel. And with our partners at the Environmental Law and Policy Center, we successfully got the Michigan Public Service Commission to rule to allow climate evidence in the decision-making process at the Michigan Public Service Commission. This is the first time a state agency in Michigan is considering climate evidence in a decision. And so we then submitted powerful testimony from 4 expert witnesses about the climate impacts this oil tunnel would contribute, and other reasons why, other climate evidence about the oil tunnel and why it's a really terrible idea. So we're continuing this fight. This year, MiCAN also put forward 18 new podcast episodes, and we held a digital 4-day climate summit in May, bringing together over 400 people and 70 speakers. So we were continuing to elevate climate injustice and move forward solutions. I'm gonna pass it over to Jamie. What is some progress you want to talk about?
Some progress that definitely happened this year for us and within my realm of work is being a part of the Magic Table, Michigan Alliance for Justice and Climate. We're able to be a part of a statewide table that addressed climate and how justice intersects with our movement. We were lucky enough to be able to do some actual engagement work around some dialogues with community members and grassroots representatives of grassroots organizations. That was very fruitful and inciting to what's really needed for our climate and advocacy around equitable issues and solutions. And we were also were able to be a part of the statewide narrative group and federal and state policy group, where we helped push out information and learned a lot about the things that was happening within our federal government and within our statewide policy. So that was amazing. And being a part of kind of thinking about how we can expand the climate impact narrative in Michigan within their statewide narrative subgroup was also amazing. Another great thing that happened for us is being a part of the Build Back Better coalition that came to fruition a few months ago. Throughout this work, we were able to actually do some in-person rallies with Representative Slotkin's office, Levin's office, Rashida Tlaib, and Representative Dingle. So that was amazing work. It was great to be a part of a justice and climate and environmental justice coalition where we came together and said, hey, this benefits all of us and this is what we need right now, and let's get this passed. So being a part of that coalition has done wonders, and is making huge impact, and we're still doing work right now to make sure the voices are heard and that our Congress gets that passed and gets that signed into a bill so that we can all have a prospering future. And I will pass it over to Emmy to kind of reflect on what some more wins were.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, on our digital communications front, I know it was a year where there was a lot of burnout. A lot of people had a lot of Zoom fatigue and compassion fatigue and just fatigue in general, being in the activist realm. So Despite that, it was really exciting to see our audience grow this year. We gained about 3,000 new audience members across our social media platforms. So just more Michiganders coming into these conversations. And our engagement rate was really awesome to see this year. Again, despite all of the burnout and fatigue that's going on this year, we had so many people chiming in, sharing their voices. Thousands of you signed petitions, emailed and tweeted and called your lawmakers, showed up for virtual events, 1 million Zoom events and in-person events. And as a network on here, we have an engagement rate that's about 20 times the average for a nonprofit, which is directly thanks to each and every one of you really using your voice. That means when you're commenting on our posts, sharing those out, just continuing to keep these conversations going. It's just been really incredible to see such an engaged community. Thanks to all of you. So we've also really tapped into growing our younger audience on here, which is something we're focusing on in the coming year. But yeah, we really, that's a direct testament to all of you, is just how engaged this community has continued to be throughout this past year. And I'll pass it to Nirali actually on that note to talk a little bit about the work she's doing with our communications.
Yeah, so through our digital engagement, we were able to kick off our youth climate cohort, which we're working to provide mentorship, workshops, and access to the MiCAN community and resources for youth. And then also we got to increase our social media engagement through Reels on Instagram, so we can build community with everyone like you. And I'll pass it to Grace.
Thank you, Nirali. So the first couple months that I was an intern at MiCAN, one of my big projects was compiling a list of cities. So that consisted of a lot of research and contacts with city officials and local engagement groups from cities around Michigan that had implemented or were working on implementing various climate policies, including like carbon neutrality goals or renewable energy goals. So this has definitely been a good resource for both an educational tool and a method of accountability for cities, both to credit the cities for the work that they're doing, show the progress that these cities are making, and also kind of show cities that don't see themselves on this list that they should definitely join the fight sooner rather than later. And on that, I will pass it over to Tom.
Thank you. Well, I've been working hard to get the University of Michigan to fess up to its lack of progress over the last decade, and to set really bold and ambitious goals for the future. With the idea not just that it's the right thing for them to do, and particularly a great university like Michigan, but because I think it's so important that universities play a leadership role in the change. And so we were really fortunate this year that the university adopted one of the most ambitious and thorough and transformative climate action plans of any university in the country. Now, they haven't done it yet, but just to have the goal is, the first step, and it's really important. And so that's what my biggest celebration is this year, and MiCAN played a role in that. So I'm grateful for the work that MiCAN did to continue to keep this issue elevated. So that's what I did.
Thank you, and you played a big role in making that happen too. So thank you for that work. And so then looking forward to 2022, there has been a lot of progress. We have big plans for what we want to accomplish next year. Emmy, what work are you focused on for the coming year?
Yeah, so in my realm of work, we're really excited to engage the youth audience a lot more. It's a piece of our audience that, not just ours, but across the board, has really been left out of a lot of the climate conversations in the past. So we're very excited to continue to reach out, speak to, work with younger people, which I know is something Nirali is really engaged in too. So I don't want to steal too many of your talking points here, but it's definitely a big area that we're focusing on as we grow our social media into the new year. So that'll mean more Instagram content, which I will plug. If you're not following us over there, or you have someone younger in your life who is active on Instagram, make sure they're checking that out. And just continuing to diversify who we're talking to, not just in terms of age, but just talking to more underrepresented communities, and making sure we are speaking to everybody who's affected which is everybody. And on a more, I guess, intangible note, excited to just continue to speak about climate and communicate climate in a way that motivates people toward action. There's a lot of sort of doom and gloom talk in the climate space if you get on Twitter and start scrolling, and we know that doesn't really motivate people and it doesn't turn people out to take action. So we want to be intentional about communicating these issues in a way that's realistic, but also motivates people to join events or take action or get engaged, because there is so much hope and so much we can still do. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the new year. And I will kick that over to Nirali.
Yeah, going off of what Emmy said, I'm excited to mobilize and collaborate with youth on the climate action cohort, and just create more content for the Instagram to engage with our audience, especially get more into TikToks this year, and just, work with youth this year. And with that, I'll pass it to Jamie.
Great. For next year, definitely we'll be pushing Build Back Better. If it's not passed by Christmas, which is what we've been promised, but as we know, things can be very unpredictable, that will continue to be a main focus for us. And with that coalition of making sure what we need is passed, and also building upon that policy and creating more equitable solutions to put money in folks' hands, communities' hands, and make sure that we're all equipped for community resiliency and resiliency as a state as well. Something else that is exciting that we'll be embarking on next year is that next year we will be taking a break from our annual summit and actually getting into the community and doing some regional meetings. Due to COVID, and I'm pretty sure all of us are experiencing a high level of Zoom burnout, we thought it was important to kind of give folks some opportunity to engage with each other in person in an outdoor space. So next summer, around May or June, we will be hosting those regional meetings alongside some of our closest partners, and so excited to have those conversations kick off, and also push forward, knowing that next year is an election year, starting to help cultivate some conversations that folks should be thinking about while they're casting their vote. So really excited about that. And I will pass it to Grace.
Thank you, Jamie. So Kate and I have been working on a report to release early in the new year. It's going to consist of the list of climate ordinances and policies that we have tracked so far, along with local climate action groups around the state. So people can use that as a resource that want to get engaged and inform themselves on what is going on around the cities in the state of Michigan. Additionally, we are adding case studies to the report of cities that are making great progress and doing great things for the environment. So it includes like Traverse City, Ann Arbor, Highland Park, and Grand Rapids. All 4 great cities doing great things. So we definitely wanted to highlight them. So we're planning on releasing it early in the new year. We're really excited about it.
Thank you, Grace. And thanks, everybody. And what I'm excited about is, one, is to continue building the Michigan Climate Action Network. So in the new year, we're going to be hiring at least 2 new staff people so we can expand what we're able to do and do even more of this work. And I'm also really focused on making sure we pass some big climate legislation, the Build Back Better Act, supporting Jamie in that work at the federal level, and making sure that we get our state to achieve carbon neutrality and come out with a really strong plan in January. Now I want to give the floor to Tom for a few words.
Well, thanks. Well, this is exciting stuff. I think I'm going to have to fight with Kate to get some of the time of the staff, because one of the things I'm trying to do is this next year is to get the city of Ann Arbor to work with the other institutions in the community, so we have a community-wide push for climate action instead of each institution having their own goals and working in their own silo. So I think that I need to figure out how to get Grace involved, and at the end of the day be at the top of her list. But this is exciting for me to hear all of this, because when we started the Climate Action Network, we started at a time when most people didn't really know how to talk about climate action. They weren't sure what to call it. There was a lot of social resistance to using those words. And so we are in this interesting position where we've made incredible progress in a few years. When you think about the number of people who are engaged, think about what government's talking about doing, think about the lower cost of renewable energy, given what it was 5 and 10 years ago. I mean, it's enormous progress. The frustrating part of it is that we don't have a lot of time, and as fast as we're going, it's probably not fast enough. We have to probably go faster. And while government is talking about doing the right thing, they're sure dragging their feet. They're having trouble doing the right thing. A recent COP meeting is a great example where governments just couldn't quite bring themselves to get rid of coal and to fully endorse renewable energy. And so there's so much more to do. And I think that part of what MiCAN has been able to do so well is to help people take action where they live and they work. And while there's been a lot of talk today about getting legislation passed, and I sure hope we do, I think we have to also behave as if it might not get passed and get as many people as we can working in their communities with their legislators and their city council people and their township managers and everywhere, because we have to keep working hard locally so that all of this can come together in the best way possible. So to do that takes more resources. We started all this and made amazing progress when Kate was giving us about 40% of her time. And that was pretty much the staff, a little volunteer labor from a couple of the rest of us. And we just each year gotten to have more energy applied to this, and we have so much more to show for it. And the accomplishments that you all talked about for the last year have been fantastic. But it can't go on, and it can't go at the rate that it needs to go unless we have more support from our members and more members to start talking to their legislators. So I hope that for the next year, we can keep this great work up, that you can maybe after the first of the year, when you don't have 100 people soliciting money, you could think about writing a check for MiCAN and think about how we can make the progress that we need for next year and make the progress within a democracy that we have started out with, because that's under threat. And we really can't make the progress that we need for climate if we don't have a democracy. So there's so much to do next year. We need your support. We appreciate your tuning in today. Thanks for all of the help that you've given MiCAN. And thanks to this wonderful team for keeping it going and making great things happen.
Thank you, Tom. And yes, I want to thank this amazing team. I'm so glad we got to introduce everybody to this team today, and we're going to keep growing, bring on more amazing people. And we know that we couldn't do any of this work without the supporters that we have and all of the people in the network that are taking action every day. So we want to close this out by just telling you how much we appreciate you. Thank you for your action. Thank you for your support.
Thank you so much for being so engaged. We read every single comment and really appreciate you being here virtually and in person. It's been such a hard year, and we really couldn't have done any of this without you.
Yes, thank you, and happy and have a safe holiday. And please try to find as much joy after the year we've all had to really spend with your family and self-care. So happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Bye.